There's something scientists discovered that sounds more like ancient mysticism than physics. A truth so disturbing, it shattered our understanding of reality. And it starts with this: reality only exists when you observe it. What you're about to learn in this video could change the way you see everything. Your thoughts, your life, your past, even your future. This is the observer effect. And once you understand how it works, you'll never look at your life the same way again. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to show you how to use this quantum secret, not just to understand the universe, but to change your reality from the inside out. Let's begin with something most people never question. We're taught that reality is solid, that the world is made of objects, measurable, predictable, mechanical. We're taught that what we see, hear, and touch is real, and that our thoughts, our imagination, our intentions, just fluff, just the byproducts of brain chemistry. But what if that's not true? What if the truth is much stranger? Because when you cross a certain line in physics, a line that classical science refuses to acknowledge, you step into a space that looks a lot like ancient mysticism. You enter a realm where thought influences matter, where the observer shapes the observed, and where reality is not something out there, but something born inside you. Welcome to quantum mechanics, and more specifically, to the one idea that shook the very foundation of everything we thought we knew: the observer effect. Let me ask you something. If a tree falls in a forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? Now take that further. If a particle exists in a state of probability, as all quantum particles do, and no one observes it, is it even real? Physicist Werner Heisenberg, one of the founding fathers of quantum theory, once said, "What we observe is not nature itself, but nature exposed to our method of questioning." In other words, reality responds to the way we observe it. It's not just there, waiting to be seen. It becomes real through our interaction with it. And that's where everything starts to break down, because this idea, that consciousness, the simple act of awareness, plays a role in shaping reality, throws a wrench into everything science used to believe. In the old Newtonian view of the world, the universe was like a giant machine. Every gear had a purpose. Every action had an equal and opposite reaction. Everything was physical, measurable, and separate. But then came Max Planck, the father of quantum physics. He discovered that energy is not continuous, but exists in tiny packets called quanta, and he didn't stop there. In one of his most overlooked but most powerful statements, he said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." Let that sink in, not the other way around. Consciousness comes first, matter comes second. That means reality doesn't create you. You create reality. And yet, this idea isn't new. Mystics, sages, and spiritual teachers have been saying the same thing for thousands of years. Buddha taught that the mind is the forerunner of all things. Neville Goddard claimed that imagination is the only reality. Even the ancient Hermetic texts declared, "The all is mind." So how is it that science, the most rational of all disciplines, has stumbled into a truth that spirituality has known all along? Because when scientists tried to peer into the quantum world, they found something unexpected. They found themselves, their presence, their observation, their intention. It all affected the outcome of the experiment. Reality stopped being something objective. It became personal. Let me give you an analogy. Imagine you're looking at a blank canvas. You haven't painted anything yet, but you have a brush in your hand. That's the quantum field, pure potential. Nothing has collapsed into form yet. But the moment you decide what to paint and start applying that brush, something begins to emerge. That act of observing, of focusing, of choosing, is what collapses the infinite possibilities into one visible outcome. This is what the observer effect is all about. The universe doesn't operate independently of you. It's not just something out there for you to measure. You're participating, you're influencing, you're creating. And the line between science and spirituality, it's not a wall, it's a doorway. A threshold, one that, once crossed, changes you forever. Because if your observation shapes reality, then who are you, really? And what else have you been creating? Without even knowing, in the next chapter, we're going to explore the famous double-slit experiment, the scientific test that exposed the truth behind this phenomenon and proved once and for all that the act of observing doesn't just measure reality, it creates it. If you're resonating with this so far, stay with us. It only gets deeper. And remember to comment below. I am the observer to affirm this truth in your consciousness. Do you know the experiment that broke reality? At the dawn of the 20th century, physics was on the edge of something massive. For centuries, science had operated like clockwork, predictable, reliable, Newtonian. Everything had a place. Everything had a cause. The world was a machine, and we were just gears in it. But then, a group of scientists decided to investigate the tiniest building blocks of our universe. Particles so small, they couldn't even be seen. And that's when everything unraveled. They designed a simple test, something almost childish in its simplicity. It would later become known as the double-slit experiment. Here's how it worked. Imagine a solid wall with two vertical slits, like two open doors. On one side of the wall is a device that shoots tiny particles, electrons, one at a time. On the other side is a screen that captures where those particles land. If you shoot particles through the slits, you'd expect them to go through one or the other, and hit the screen in two clear lines, just like tennis balls through a gate. And when scientists ran the experiment, that's exactly what happened. When they measured which slit the particles went through, the electrons acted like particles. Two clear lines appeared on the screen. Simple. But then, they did something strange. They ran the same experiment, but this time, they didn't observe the path of the electrons. No detectors, no measurements, just pure transmission. And what they saw shocked them. Instead of two lines, the electrons formed an interference pattern, like ripples in water, as if the electrons were behaving like waves, not particles. Let me repeat, that, when not observed, the particles acted like waves. But the moment they were observed, they collapsed into particles again, as if the act of watching forced them to choose a location. Let that sink in. When no one was looking, reality existed in a state of probability, of infinite potential. But the moment someone observed it, it snapped into form. What does that mean? It means the electrons, the building blocks of matter, behave differently depending on whether or not they are being observed. And this wasn't a one-time glitch. It's been repeated again, and again, and again. Every time, the same result. Observation changes outcome. Awareness alters reality. Now, the implications of this are enormous. It means that at the quantum level, the level that builds everything, particles don't have fixed positions or behaviors. They exist as waves of probability until a conscious observer shows up. The act of measuring them, looking at them, focusing on them, collapses the wave into a particle. This is what physicists call wave function collapse, and what mystics have always called manifestation. So what's really going on here? In simple terms, until something is observed, it's not real. It's potential. Reality is not made of things. It's made of potential things that become real when observed. This is why your consciousness is not passive, it's creative. And this is where science meets spirituality, again. Now, here's where it gets even more mind-blowing. In an upgraded version of the experiment, known as the delayed choice quantum eraser, scientists prove that even the decision to observe something after it has already happened can still change the outcome. That means time doesn't even behave the way we think. The future observation can affect the past result. We are not just shaping reality in the present moment. Our conscious observation may actually ripple through time. So what does this mean for you? It means your attention, your focus, your awareness is an instrument of creation. Right now, you're surrounded by infinite possibilities. In the quantum field, anything is possible, but only one version will collapse into your reality, the one you observe as real. This isn't philosophy, It's physics. You are the observer. But you're not just watching life happen. You're creating it as you look. And here's the twist. Most people don't know they're doing this. They observe with doubt. They observe with fear. They focus on what's missing. And so, the universe keeps collapsing more of that. But once you learn to observe intentionally, once you master the art of placing your awareness on what you want, not what you fear, you shift timelines, you change the field. In the next minutes, we're going deeper. You'll discover how you, yes you, are constantly collapsing your reality, even if you've been doing it unconsciously, and how you can take the power back. First, take a moment, look around you. The objects in the room, the light, the temperature, your body, your breath. It all feels solid, stable, real. But what if I told you that everything you see right now was chosen, not randomly, not by accident, but through your awareness, through your focus, through your observation? You are not a passive witness in the universe. You are not watching a movie someone else wrote. You are the observer, and the script responds to you. This isn't poetic, it's quantum. Because here's what the double-slit experiment truly reveals when we connect it to consciousness. Wherever you place your focus, you collapse a version of reality into existence. And wherever you withdraw your focus, that version loses power. Let that sink in. The things you give, your energy to expand. The things you ignore, fade. And that includes your fears, your doubts, your desires, your future. Now here's the part most people miss. You are always observing something. The question is, what are you observing lack? Are you constantly focused on what's not working, what's missing, what could go wrong? If so, the quantum field responds with more of the same. Not because you're being punished, but because you're collapsing that version of reality over and over and over again. You're tuning your awareness to that frequency, and the universe simply obeys. Let's go deeper. Dr. Joe Dispenza, a neuroscientist and mystic, studied thousands of brain scans from people in deep states of focus and meditation. And here's what he found. When someone visualizes a future experience with enough clarity and emotion, the brain begins to fire as if it's already happening, and the body begins to respond chemically, as if it's real. Why does this matter? Because your body doesn't know the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one, and neither does the quantum field. So when you observe a new reality in your mind and feel it in your body, you are, quite literally, instructing the universe to collapse that version into form. This is not daydreaming. This is quantum alignment. The mystic Neville Goddard taught this decades ago. He said, "Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That which you feel yourself to be, you are, and you are given that which you are." In other words, stop waiting to receive and start observing as if you already have. Because the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you observe as real. Now let me ask you something. How often are you unconsciously observing lack? Think about it. Every time you check your bank account and feel anxiety, you're observing scarcity. Every time you look in the mirror and criticize yourself, you're reinforcing that image. Every time you expect disappointment in relationships, you're collapsing that version of reality again. It's not that the universe is against you. It's that you've been observing the same movie on repeat. And the projector, your awareness, doesn't know it's a rerun. But here's the good news. You can choose where to place your observation. And by doing that, you change the entire script. This is why ancient spiritual traditions taught the power of awareness, attention, focus, because they knew. Where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, reality grows. So let's make this real. Close your eyes and imagine this. There are infinite versions of you in the quantum field. One version is stuck. One is thriving. One is in fear. One is in love. One is poor. One is wealthy. One is sick. One is healed. They all exist, right now, as potential. The only question is, which one are you observing? And more importantly, which one are you ready to observe into being? Because now, you know the truth. You are not just a character in this story. You are the observer collapsing scenes, emotions, and events, second by second, into your reality. And once you observe with intention, once you feel the version of life you desire as if it already is, the universe has no choice but to follow. This is not magic. It's mechanics, of the quantum kind. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are collapsing the wrong version of reality over and over again, without even realizing it. Not because they're choosing to suffer, but because they're stuck observing life through the lens of their past, through beliefs they never consciously chose, through fears inherited from family, society, trauma. They wake up and immediately focus on what's not working. They scroll through social media and reinforce who they are not. They expect things to go wrong, and the universe, like an obedient mirror, reflects that expectation back to them. They've become habitual observers of the very reality they want to escape. And the quantum field? It doesn't judge. It doesn't edit. It simply responds to what you're focused on. Have you ever noticed how your day seems to spiral after one small frustration? You spill your coffee, then you miss the train, then someone cuts you off in traffic, and by midday, it feels like the universe is against you? That's not coincidence. That's quantum focus. You collapsed a reality through your observation of frustration, and that frequency kept attracting matching events. Not because you're cursed, but because you became entangled with a timeline, and you kept observing it into existence. Now here's what's wild. Most of the time, you're not even aware of what you're observing. Why? Because 95% of your thoughts today are the same. Ones you had yesterday. Your brain, your body, your energy, they're running on autopilot. And that autopilot is wired to past experiences, past pain, past versions of you. So even if you want a new life, a new relationship, a new reality, you're observing from the vibration of the old one. And that's why nothing changes. You're tuning into an old frequency, expecting a new broadcast. It doesn't work that way. This is where the real shift happens. It's not enough to want change. You have to observe differently. You have to feel differently. You have to choose your focus with intention, not habit. You have to become conscious of your observation, because the old version of you, the one operating on unconscious patterns, is always available. But so is the new you, the one who is empowered, the one who creates deliberately, the one who wakes up and says, I'm not reacting to life anymore. I'm observing the version I want, and collapsing that into form. And let's be honest, at first it feels uncomfortable. It feels fake. It feels like you're lying to yourself, because your nervous system is addicted to survival. Your mind is trained to look for danger. Your body is wired for repetition, not expansion. But here's the good news. Neuroplasticity is real. Your brain is capable of rewiring itself, starting the moment you direct your focus intentionally. Dr. Bruce Lipton showed that your beliefs can alter your biology, that your cells literally respond to perception, that the signal you send, not the genes you have, determines your reality. So the question becomes, what signal are you broadcasting? What version of life are you tuning into with your awareness? Because whatever it is, the universe is listening. Let me tell you something powerful. Right now, you're sitting at the center of infinite possibilities, like a radio surrounded by thousands of stations. Each station is a different reality, a different future, a different version of you. But the dial, the tuner, that's your focus. That's your observation. And the moment you turn that dial, away from the noise of the past, away from fear and doubt, and start tuning in to abundance, love, peace, purpose, that's the moment the signal shifts, and the field begins to rearrange itself to match. Not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. And that's what most people never learn. They try to change reality by pushing harder, by controlling, by hustling, by fixing what's outside. But quantum creation doesn't happen through force. It happens through alignment of observation. You shift the field not by effort, but by energy. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're observing, emotionally, mentally, vibrationally, as real. And here's the moment of truth. Are you willing to stop watching your life through the lens of limitation? Are you ready to stop observing the same story on repeat? Because the moment you do, the moment you observe from a new place, not from the past, but from the future you, everything begins to shift. And in that shift, you realize you were never stuck. You were just tuned in to the wrong signal. What comes next is where it all turns. Because now that you know you've been observing unconsciously, I'm going to show you how to observe with power, with precision, so you can begin collapsing the exact reality you want. Consciously, deliberately, repeatedly. It's not magic, it's mechanics, and you're about to become a master of it. Stay with me. What comes next will show you how to apply this shift starting tonight. So now that you know the truth, now that you see how your observation has been shaping your reality all along, the question becomes, how do you observe with intention? How do you consciously collapse the version of reality you actually want? Because it's not enough to think positively. It's not about repeating affirmations like a robot. It's not about pretending things are fine when they're not. It's about mastering the energetic mechanics of focus. It's about becoming aware of how you observe, and more importantly, who you are being while you observe. Let me explain. In the quantum field, everything exists as potential, not certainty. You don't create reality by asking for it. You create by becoming a vibrational match to the version of life you desire. That's what observation is, in the quantum sense. Not just seeing something, but emotionally, energetically engaging with it, as if it's already real. Because the universe doesn't speak English, it speaks frequency. So when you think about your dream life, whether it's more abundance, love, freedom, or healing, you can't just wish for it. You have to observe it into being. And to do that, your body, your emotions, and your mind need to align. Here's how. Every morning, before the world gets noisy, before your mind replays the past, take 3 to 5 minutes to become the observer, intentionally. Step 1. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Let the outer world fade. Detach from your identity, your name, your story. You are no longer you. You are just consciousness, aware, observing. Step 2. Feel your desired reality, not as something far away, but as something happening right now in the quantum field. See it, smell it, touch it. Most importantly, feel it emotionally. Gratitude, peace, joy, relief. Let those feelings flood your body. Your brain starts firing new pathways. Your heart begins broadcasting a new signal. And your entire energetic field shifts into resonance with that version of you. Step 3. Stay in it for a few moments. Breathe into it. Anchor it. Don't try to make it happen. Just observe it as if it's already real, because in the quantum, what you observe as real becomes real. This is what mystics, healers, and creators have been doing for centuries, long before science caught up. Neville Goddard called it living in the end. Dr. Joe Dispenza calls it rehearsing the future. Ancient yogis called it sankalpa, the sacred intention that bends reality. But no matter the label, the mechanism is the same. You shift your vibration first, and reality catches up. You don't wait for change to feel better. You feel better, and change begins to unfold. Now, you might be wondering, but what if I don't believe it yet? What if it feels fake? That's normal. At first, your body resists. Your subconscious brings up doubt. Your nervous system clings to what's familiar, even if it's painful. But here's the truth. Your current reality is just the result of past observations. And like any muscle, your focus needs training. The more you practice observing with emotion, clarity, and repetition, the stronger your signal becomes, and the field has no choice but to respond. Remember, you're not creating from scratch. All versions of reality already exist in the quantum field. You're simply choosing which one to observe. And when you choose it enough, when you feel it deeply and consistently, that version begins to collapse into your timeline. Not because you forced it, but because you finally matched it. This is why small rituals can have massive impact. When you drink your morning coffee, observe abundance flowing to you. When you walk, observe health and vitality in every step. When you look in the mirror, observe the version of you that is confident, powerful, radiant. Every moment is an opportunity to shift your lens, to become the observer with intention, not habit. The old you was reacting. The new you is observing with purpose. And that shift, that's when the magic begins. You stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop trying to fix everything outside. You become the one who creates from within. That's quantum power. And the best part? It's already yours. You were born with it. You're just remembering how to use it. What comes next is a truth that will echo in your life forever. Because once you understand that you are the observer and that your focus is a creative force, you can never go back to the old way of living. Reality isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. And now, you know how to shape it. The final part of this video will bring everything together with one powerful truth that most people miss. And it's the missing key to making your manifestations unstoppable. So now, you've seen it. You've felt it. And deep down, you already know it. You are not just a witness to life. You are the observer. And that means you are the creator. Everything around you, your relationships, your finances, your health, your opportunities, they are not fixed. They are reflections of what you've been observing, consistently, emotionally, energetically. And here's the twist most people never realize. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you've accepted as real. That's why wishing doesn't work. That's why begging the universe doesn't move the needle. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to certainty. It responds to the frequency of belief, to the conviction behind your observation. Let this land in your soul. Reality doesn't change when you try harder. Reality changes when you observe from a different state of being. That means you don't need to hustle to become worthy. You don't need to fix everything to be ready. You simply need to observe yourself as already whole, already abundant, already aligned, already powerful. Because the future version of you that you crave, it already exists. And every time you close your eyes and feel it, every time you observe it as real, you get closer to it. And it gets closer to you. And here's the part that changes everything. You never needed to manifest a better reality. You just needed to observe differently. You were never stuck. You were just observing the same version of life, on repeat. But now, you've remembered the truth. You are the observer. You are the frequency. You are the portal through which reality is chosen. Let me leave you with this. The next time you feel fear or lack or doubt, don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just ask yourself, what version of reality am I observing right now? And am I willing to observe something new? Because your future doesn't come from your past. It comes from your present awareness. And from this moment on, you get to choose. You get to observe with love, with power, with presence, and that changes everything. If this journey awakened something in you, comment below. I am the observer. I am the creator. Let that affirmation echo into the quantum field and into your subconscious mind. And if you want to go even deeper into this truth and learn how to shift your energy to manifest with precision, watch the next video on this channel. It's not just information, it's activation. Because you didn't come here to consume content. You came here to remember who you really are. Reality only exists when you observe it. So the real question is, what will you choose to observe next? If this video touched you, like it, share it, and send it to someone who needs to wake up to their power. Because when one observer awakens, it ripples through the entire field.